Hello, how are you? How are you all, guys? Hello, hello, India. Hello, everyone. Hope you are good, guys. Just a couple of minutes that everyone joined the live. Guys, two things before starting. Hey, Ellie, my man, you can share this event with your friends now through to the airplane button below, and you can also ask anything using the question mark below. We will dive in a couple of short movies. One is this, In The Logia, a visual album. We will dive in this work with a lot of information from the DP Alexander Chinnici. So, are you ready, guys? Please ask something absolutely related to what we are showing, guys. At the end, we can also ask something more generic. Okay, so don't ask like many times how camera I have to buy, something like this. So I don't see yet Alexander. In the meantime, I present him. For those who don't know, Alexander is a director of photography, originally from New York City, now based in LA, works in narrative features, commercials, music videos, started at a young age, and he did the School of Art and Visual Art in New York City. So next we will ask also his opinion about film school or not. Alex, are you there? Hey man,
Hi.
how are
Hi, how are
you?
you? Good, how are you?
Me good. How are you?
Doing
Are
good,
you
doing
ready?
good.
Ready to this live Q&A?
Oh, I am. Yeah, I'm in sunny California. You're in Italy, right?
Yeah. You have Italian origins for half part. I
Mm-hmm.
remember well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep,
So, so I already presented you, and I
thank you.
already shared the first part of In The Logia visual
Mm-hmm.
album. This is a really amazing project. The whole concept, the cinematography, the direction, everything is really amazing. And many people asked us about this. What is In The Logia? Because
Sure.
someone asked is a video clip, a music video. Someone asked what is a
Yeah,
short movie? So let's dive
right.
in the first work.
Sure. Yeah, so it's pretty unique. I'd say it's a hybrid of all those things. Judy Posey, the director, I think we had done their music video. Retail Space is the name of the band. We did their music video before this, and I think there was interest in doing a narrative, sort of a short film, but there was interest in doing more music video work. Their album that this is from was really inspiring. We were all becoming friends. We fell in love with it. And Judy's extremely creative and came up with this idea, and they collaborated together, and it sounded kind of crazy, but we went for it and we did it. And yeah, it's a short film. It's an album film. It's a big music video. It's all of those things. It's very unique. So yeah, it's
We watched
yeah,
it twice
yeah.
consecutively.
No, I'm
Was
happy to
really
hear that.
amazing.
Yeah. No, we're very proud of it. It's definitely one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on.
Yeah, so beautiful. I missed to ask you, since you did the visual art in your city, what is your opinion about film school or not? Since every time people ask this, I would love to collect also your feedback. And next
Sure.
we,
Yeah. So film school, I think, is great. It's difficult because sometimes people financially can't afford it. So I appreciate that concern and that issue. I think if you are in the privileged position where you can, I do recommend it actually because some people think just jump into the business and get started, and that's great. But the beauty of film school is you get to fail, and that's really important to try things, to experiment, to learn the hard way sometimes, to actually fall on your face and not have the consequences that you may have in real life. And then also the people that you meet, I'd say is almost as equally or if not more important because the people that you meet, I mean, I still work with some of the people to this day that I met, over 10 years now that I graduated film school. So I think it's a good idea, but it's not for everybody. It's not perfect, but I'm really, really glad that I did it.
Okay, we we see a lot of location in this short
Hmm.
visual album, and someone asked, where did you shot this project in different location? If I remember well, is
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, so it was in Florida, on the Gulf of Mexico side. Judy had grown up down there, spent some time down there, so she had some personal connections to different people, and we were able to take advantage of that. Um, yeah, it was crazy on the water. We were in a shack, like one of those floating shacks that doesn't even have any power. We had to literally drive a boat over the generator, and honestly, just moving the crew around was a whole. We used to draw maps every night about like because you only have 5 people per boat and all this is the drone boat, this is the lighting boat and everything. We had to move around and it was a lot. It was intense, but it was beautiful. A lot of storms would come in, so that was crazy. Thunderstorms, rain, but we kind of just had to roll with it and be flexible.
Yeah, a lot of challenges in this project. I remember
Yeah,
this is the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
With the drone, yeah.
the there's a question from Kevin. Hello,
Oh yeah, I
Kevin.
know Kevin. Kevin's great. Yeah. How do you get the external
And
airplane shots chasing plane? Well, the video clip is playing right now. It's a drone. So we had the Alexa Mini had just come out. So because we got all of our equipment in New York, and that made it really to utilize it for different things, for gimbal, for drone, and taking that camera and utilizing it in different, scenarios. So yeah, we had a good friend of mine. He was my first AC for a long time, Jeff Brink. He did the drone stuff. He came down from New York with his team, and yeah, coordinating the picture boat, the seaplane, the boat that was, we were operating from, and the drone, coordinating that all in three-dimensional space was really fun and crazy and challenging, and it was great.
yeah, yeah, I'm showing some BTS shot. Feel free to go forward and talk
Hmm.
about specific scene, BTS scene you can see below. And this is a couple of underwater shot.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk about some challenges underwater? I remember you
Yeah,
mentioned the thunderstorm sheen. You
right.
you shoot night and day with
Hmm.
an Amazon film crew.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
wanna,
we
yeah,
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, so underwater was intense also, obviously. I mean, we're out in the actual real water. We had some locals who were good scuba divers, but my friend, also from New York, Mike Ashley, who connected actually the director and I, that's how we met, was he was friends with her. He's a really wonderful underwater operator, and him and I have done a lot of work together. And he actually came up with the idea. We decided to use a red for the underwater stuff because several reasons. One, the gates housing that we used worked very well with it. Two, we were able to change the optical low pass filter in front of the sensor to the H2O one, which essentially allows for a better blue channel, which of course is more prominent underwater. And then also this kind of this new thing that had come out at the time called the Nikonos, where they took old Nikon underwater lenses and essentially that was the ceiling mount. So some technical nerdy gear stuff, but that made for really high quality underwater images. So we utilized that, and we also had a comm system, so meaning that we could speak to one another. So that was a cable. So we literally had an SDI cable so we could see, and a basically like a radio. I'm not a radio cable, but like a communication device. And so we are literally in the water, boats going up and down. They're underwater. We've got cables coming up towards. We're trying to talk to one another. Really hard boats
crazy.
rotating. Actors can only hold their breath underwater for so long. These guys are, by the way, they're good friends of mine. They're musicians. They're wonderful, but they're also, you know, they're not professional swimmers. They're not even professional actors, and they did an awesome job. They were up to the task.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so all those challenges were real, but we stayed safe and everybody was okay. And then underwater, yeah, we also did inside the interior. We had a pool at one point, and we had an underwater HMI light. I think it was a 4K PAR, which water and electricity, and it's crazy. And but again, smart people, safe people, good gaffer, Billy Quigley, another New York guy, awesome gaffer that I work with, made sure it was all safe. And yeah, it was fun.
Okay, I want to show another one BTS shot with the scene we showed at the beginning of this piece. And
Yeah.
guys, sorry, we can't share the audio, the soundtrack below, but it's really amazing. You can find the full piece on the website of Alexander. So after the live, I suggest to go and check in his website, and you can enjoy the whole experience. There's a Vimeo link, I remember well, or a YouTube link, I don't remember. But there's a video on the Alex website for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The music's awesome. It's I still I listen to this album all the time, and all their actually their newer stuff. They just sent me their newest one exclusively, which was great. They're great musicians, and I hope to yeah, keep making art with them. But this particular image, yeah. So this was another. This is the thing. The video had so many challenges like this where Judy would come up with these great ideas. This one being we have to be inside of a truck, bird's eye, but we also need to be moving. And then also we need to be able to, you know, look up and down and all that. So the Movi gimbal had just come out and the Alexa Mini had just come out. So that allowed us to sort of keep the equipment smaller and lighter. So Alex Rizzo, Key Grip, another New York guy, awesome. Him and I worked together a lot. He came up with this wild contraption that you see here with all this speed rail together, which essentially, you know, allowed us to have the camera be above them. And then the gimbal, along with sort of the shock mount, allowed for a stabilization. And then also the gimbal allowed us to pan and tilt. And it's not here, but essentially we're above them. And then we look up to see the people that are chasing after them. So we're inside of the truck operating the camera, the pan and tilt and all that. And they're with a bunch of oranges, probably in a bunch of flies too, out in this field.
You said operating. A couple of questions about
Yeah,
this. If you directly operating
right.
the image, so there's another one operator in some
Sure.
shot.
Sure. So I actually love working with an operator. I love operating too as a DP, but I think that collaboration could be really wonderful. And as a DP, see my role also as a very managerial one as well. So I can be in several different places and talk to different people. So for this project, technically we had three cameras. So speaking of the gimbal, Soren Nielsen, who's a wonderful DP in his own right, he was operating the Movi, the gimbal camera. I was on B camera, which was pure handheld and mainly telephoto, and I'd kind of run around and pick off shots wherever I could get them. Mainly, I would make sure that Judy, the director, and Soren, the operator, would sort of get the main shots together. We put it on a jib, as you can see here in this. You know, so that gimbal was being utilized in different ways. And then I would run around and pick off, I think like an editor sometimes. So I'm making sure she's getting what she needs. And then that third camera was the underwater one. I'm not doing underwater because I can't scuba dive. I can't do any of that. And my friend Mike Ashley that I mentioned earlier is doing that. And he's really, you know, you got to hire people that are better than you at certain things. I use Steadicam a lot. I'm not going to operate Steadicam, you know? So yeah,
Yeah, there's a dedicated operator also for that, I remember.
yeah.
And I'm scrapping the stuff because we showed this scene is this part related, the video, again
Hmm.
underwater because the whole short movie is around the fear to go underwater and stay underwater.
Yeah,
This
to
is the
drown
main,
essentially.
yeah,
The
yeah.
fear of drowning. Yeah, yeah, right. No, that's a lot of what it's about, and it's kind of scary too. You know, I like
Yeah,
the sort
yeah.
of the spooky horror vibes that are going on. But that's Judy. Judy's a real. I don't use the word artist lightly, but so she's
The video,
combining a lot of
the,
things. You
the
know,
video and the audio transition are amazing. You
yeah,
are
which yeah,
into the short movie really.
yeah,
You
totally,
feel
totally.
you feel like the main actor. The,
That's good. That's a good compliment. I know she'd appreciate that. And yeah, retail space, their music's really wonderful. And then they created all the transitions and all the
yeah,
sound design, and they worked on that for a while, and it came out very well.
yeah. There are questions about the paint. Is
Hmm.
VFX is
Oh no, no, no. So
practical?
it's
Is
our good friend Madison. She's a really wonderful makeup artist. She's credited in the different posts that you guys have done. She's a really wonderful makeup artist. Judy sort of, she came up with this idea. Judy's the director is a wonderful illustrator, so she drew this out, and then Madison executed it and came up with it. And we shot this a little bit later in a studio, with a crane kind of coming up and down and doing some fun stuff and yeah, it's such a striking image. People love it. But no, it's actually very few visual effects in this. Some after effects that Judy was like playing with transitions that you can see. Um, but not really no CG that I can think of. It's all in camera, which was a big part of the challenge, was doing everything for real. Like even the studio stuff, none of that's green screen or anything. It's just all blacked out. It's all in camera.
okay, okay. Uh, Gerald, thanks so much. Guys, you can use the question mark below because during the conversation, I'm not so much able to check every question. And please stay in the topic, please, guys, because there's a lot of question out of topic. Here is the main scene you shared with me, the lighting breakdown and everything about this. If you
Mhm.
wanna jump in this side,
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, just the lighting was basically creating as soft and even as a light as possible for this setup. Also to remove, camera shadow and such. But we basically, yeah. So this is the lighting overhead. We had a sort of overhead rig of Kino flows that were actually at a 45-degree angle. So the crane, this is the camera crane coming in, and the Kinos are all coming in here from sort of a big, top light. Exactly, there's the profile. So these are the type of overheads that I make in Adobe Illustrator for my crew. And then we also had tungsten mole phase 9 lights. These are old, really powerful, hot, bright lights that have a really wonderful sense of color to them. And those are surrounded on the sides, the back, everything. So we're just getting all this soft light from all directions, really even, because I wanted to fill in. I wanted to. The thing was, the makeup was that was what people wanted to see there. So it wasn't about doing any fancy lighting or anything. It was about making sure that you could see that really wonderful and those colors would pop. So I was trying to bring light in from every angle. Here's some
finally,
BTS.
I
Yeah.
found it. It's all mixed
Yeah.
below, so it's
Yeah, this was a
every
really
time
cool
not.
contraption. Again, Judy, the director, she's a production designer in her own right and really an artist in her own right. So she created this is all, by the way, this is all out of like Home Depot parts. It's like PVC pipe and air conditioning tubes, and they're painting it and everything. And her and the production designer Hannah, who they work together, and she's really wonderful too. Is they're doing awesome work. We have a RE Sky Panel S60 behind doing that cyan blue on her, and then more big soft tungsten units as the key. I actually like to use old tungsten units because the color is always a lot better. And the Sky Panel had also just come out, so we were using a lot of new technology at this time that everybody's using now. But back when this came out, it was all exciting new stuff.
Okay, a quick window about Q&A. There's some question. The most tactic shot.
Mm. Yeah, the most hectic shot would be the one when the plane is coming towards us. I don't know if you can find that one, but so we were sitting on the boat and the plane literally flies towards them. And that was fun because the pilot was a real cowboy. He was like down in Florida guy. It was like a pistol on his hip the whole time, and talked big games. Very very sweet man, but he felt like a modern cowboy. And when we said, "Hey, we need you to fly over," he was like, "Oh, I got you. I'll buzz that thing." And he just kept coming right at the boat, and that was a little, frankly, scary to do that, but very fun. And then we had another thing you guys will probably see in some of them. We had this truck outside with this balloon light overhead, all this like night exterior field stuff, and that was intense because we were out there doing it, and it's Florida, so a thunderstorm rolled in, and lightning. We could see lightning in the distance, and the wind picked up, so we had to bring the balloon light down. We had to get everybody safe. Tried to make sure that the equipment and the balloon light didn't get ruined, but obviously safety first. And the director, Judy, still makes fun of me to this day because she got inside of a truck and could hear me on the walkie-talkie running around trying to make sure that everybody was safe in their vehicles. And she always teases me because she always says at one point I was like, "Oh God, it's right overhead," as I was like trying to run around and make sure everybody was okay. But that was hectic. But it was okay because the storm passed. We had like an hour of downtime, and then we went and we shot some more.
Okay, I'm showing other question.
Hmm.
How many times do you read the question, Arpino? Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I understand. I think they're asking how long it took.
Okay,
That's okay.
so
Yeah,
I find
it took, we were down in Florida for a week, and then we were in the studio afterwards where we got this type of stuff for, I think, a weekend, 2 days. So, let's say roughly 8 to 10 days, something like that, which is a while. I mean, it was obviously, you always want more time, but we were all over the place. We were in boats one day, on a shack in the middle of the water another, underwater another day. So it was nonstop, but really, really fun. Good memories from this one.
two questions by this guy Golden AIDS. One is this
Yeah, how did you get
inspiration
into
for.
it? Yeah. Yeah, such varied color scenes. Well, actually, here's some inspiration. Other than the location, down in the Gulf of Mexico is so colorful and really beautiful down there. But also, if you see, so this is Izzy. She's one half of retail space. You can see her outfit is really colorful. I unfortunately cannot remember the name of the company that did it, but Judy, the director, collaborated with. They make these, sort of like surf swimsuit type outfits. And those, each scene, she has a different one. They're really colorful, they're really beautiful. And that was definitely a color scheme that sort of inspired us to start including those in different places. Plus, I love color. I think that the desaturated, that's just so boring nowadays. Everybody likes to do it. So I love expressionism. I want to use hard light. I want to use soft light. I want to use color. Anything to get it across. I think it's silly to have sort of one thing that you do. Oh wait, here we go. Retail. Cynthia Rowley is the brand of wetsuit. So Cynthia Rowley. Um, they're so cool. When my fiance saw the video for the first time, she was like, "Holy shit, that wardrobe is awesome." It's very very beautiful and inspired us color wise.
There's another question about the color, just to close the topic. Who colored the clips? What was the color process like?
Right. Yeah. So we worked with a colorist, and yeah, it's just a typical color process. We did nothing too crazy. On set, we didn't have any specific LUTs. I love working with custom LUTs that I will utilize on camera for, monitoring LUT for the director and for everybody to see. For this, we kept it pretty straightforward. We had so many different varied locations. We didn't really have any time to go down and scout. Again, the Alexa Mini was pretty new, so I kept it simple. I didn't want to create any issues. We also had to mix it with the red footage underwater, so there's that as well. And yeah, we just worked with the colorist and got it all cleaned up, and it actually doesn't look too crazy different than what we originally shot. I think because so much of the in-camera footage worked as is. But that said, I love working with the colorists and getting all funky. This particular project didn't really need it though.
Before switch to the other project,
Mm-hmm.
there's another question from Ellie. What's your ideal dynamic and relationship between director DP?
Cool. Yeah, I know him. He's great. Him and I met up a couple of times. I love Eli. Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah, so I think communication, honesty, trust are the most important things. I'm the type of DP where it's not about my ego and what I want to do. It's about what the about what's right for the director, for the production logistically, and obviously story and character are first. But I shoot music videos and car commercials, and it's all sorts of things. So I'm thinking logistics as well. So it's collaboration, but also making sure that I'm doing what's right for the project. And with the director, I want a director who can communicate and give me a goal. I can fill in that space if I need to. I've been doing this since I was a kid, basically, but I want someone who's, kind of like a general, like we're going here, this is what we're doing, and I'm with them. With that said, I'll definitely speak up and have my opinion. And I think some tension is a good thing in terms of not fighting. You never raise your voice on set. That's, unless it's a safety thing, that's just silly. But I want to make it better all the time. So I'm not going to get lazy, and I don't want them to either. I want to work with a filmmaker who is really driven, and that excites me because then they drive me, they drive the crew, morale is high, and we want to do good work. This project is a really good example. We all worked our butts off, and I think it's special because of that leader. Judy is a great leader, and she got us to do special work.
Amazing. So there's another question about more in general lenses that you never go without, because we talked about some tools, some cameras. Feel free to reply to this
Sure.
one.
Yeah, tools I never go without. I guess a bounce board. That would be something I would never leave home without. Yeah, I actually choose different stuff every time. I don't own any equipment. I've never owned any cameras or anything like that, so I don't have necessarily a kit. I'm usually designing specifically what's right for the project. Um, Lens-wise, I'm all over the place. I'm choosing what's appropriate for the project as well. I would say I probably, though, make sure that I have the full range. While I could easily shoot a movie with literally one lens, it is because I don't want to put the director in a position. I want them to feel like they have the tool that they may need, especially if they're spending a lot of money. I want to be there to be able to help them. I think you have to be careful with ego stuff sometimes of like making a very hard rule beforehand while it can lead to good art. You want to be prepared because the beauty of film is that new things happen every day and you have to be ready for them.
Okay, I switched another one question, and
Yeah.
next we will jump into Uncharted short movie.
Cool. Cool. So yeah, this one, how to understand which lens is best to use in a situation. So that's tough. I mean, well, first of all, you have to go with, artistically what you think is appropriate, your gut, also what's important for the blocking, what's important for the director. You have to think like an editor. I mentioned that earlier. You really got to understand what information you're working for this box, right? Not what's happening on set. It's that square and what's coming before and after. So you have to think that way. I would say it's also, people talk about the 10,000 hours thing. I'm a Formula One racing fan. There's another terminology used, seat time, how much time you're in the seat. That's how you're going to start to understand lenses, is just by doing it. I know it doesn't sound helpful to you right now, whoever asked that, because you want to be able to understand how to use lenses right now. But I would pick up a photography camera, any type of camera, understand what your sensor size is or your film size is, if it's APS-C, full frame, whatever it might be, and then understand focal length, understand the math behind that. What happens when you put on a 50 with that, and what is the distance change?
Educate
What kind
the
of an
eye.
effect? Yeah. Educate that. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, simpler way to put it. And then also read about films that you like and what they're maybe using if you can get that information, and then study it. But otherwise, my advice when it comes to all things, and specifically this, is to just shoot as much as possible. That's a little difficult right now, especially with COVID and everything. So try to get your hands on some form of a camera. and just start understanding, play around in your house if you have a pet, if you have a kid, if you have a significant other, and just mess around and start to understand why you may choose a focal length, other than just a cool look or whatever, but you're constructing an image for a purpose and understand why.
Great reply. So I'm searching the first part of the Uncharted
Yeah.
video game also, right?
Right.
Starring with Nathan Fillion, Stephen Lang,
Right.
direction of Alan Unger. My
Mhm.
pronunciation is not the best.
No, no, you
eight
said it right.
million, 8 million views, and there's a lot of also a funny meme.
Yeah.
We have a quick moment of fun. Oh, are a bit cropped here, a bit cropped, but we will find some
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
meme. Yeah, this one,
Oh, look, I have right here.
The Lion King, this one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those are so funny. They still crack me
For
up.
for the famous scene of the super punch.
Right, right, right.
This is the scene, right? Of the
Yeah, so this
super punch.
is yeah, the super punch will be coming on later, but this is the Steadicam shot for this part. But yeah, it was a cool project. Alan had unfortunately he just lost his DP at the time, so he called me up kind of frantically saying, I've got to do this thing in 2 weeks, and I figured out pretty quickly what it was. He wanted to keep it a secret, but I do play video games and I've played all the Uncharted games, so I pretty quickly understood what it was that we were doing. And obviously, working with someone like Nathan Fillion was very exciting, and just creating something for the fans. I'm a nerd, a fan of all sorts of things, so it was fun to sort of get in on that. And then they came up with really cool shots like this super punch shot and the video game one, and trying
A
to
lot of
emulate moments.
rehearsal,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
with the help
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a stunt coordinator. I remember well.
Yeah, Joe Perez is a really great stunt coordinator. He actually worked on The Mandalorian after this. So he's done both seasons of The Mandalorian, and him and Alan had worked together, and yeah, he came out, and it was crazy. We got someone like him on this, but it's really because him and Alan are friends. And yeah, I mean, this is some of the rehearsal stuff here, and it was great. I got to come out and get strapped onto a wire and fly through the air. It was very fun, and they taught me a lot about, it looks maybe simple, but there's a lot of different like
Yeah,
physical stuff going on with timing and bracing your body, and you can break your ankle. It doesn't maybe look that high, but it definitely is. It's physical, and it was really fun. And the stunt guys are the best. They're really fun and cool, and working with them was great.
okay. This is the first part. If you wanna share something more about this short movie, feel free. I
Sure.
split it in three parts. This is the first part of the
Sure,
short.
yeah. That's we're actually we're out in the desert here outside of LA. We're actually on the back of a motorcycle getting those shots. Is a Steadicam shot by Nick Muller, who did the video game one. He's a really talented guy. Here's a crane shot that we had. We were able to get it for this one shot as a favor. They came out and did this with us. But yeah, and we shot Alexa Mini with Master Primes. Was the setup. Speaking of colorists, we mentioned colorists earlier, and Gordon, a colorist in New York that I worked with for many years. He worked on this project and did a great job. Here's some more Steadicam from Nick Muller. Fun story about this location that is a bit
Yeah,
heartbreaking, but this is an unfortunate thing, but it did happen. Was that we had planned? I only had 2 weeks, but we planned in here to have all sorts of fog and smoke and have beams of light that were coming in. So it looked more, you'll see later on, there's like the library scene, which looks more like the video game. It's very epic. And Michael Bay was sort of the look, because you want that big Hollywood movie look.
yeah,
And
yeah. So
yeah, and
beautiful.
yeah, well, so what happened though was that the location said, oh, you can use smoke, you can use haze, don't worry about it. And right before we set up, they said, no, 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 actually, you can't use it. You can't use any smoke, you can't use anything. So we had to completely rearrange everything really quickly. So we shot it like this, a little more naturally, a little soft, a little darker. And then about an hour into shooting, they come back up to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, by the way, you actually can use smoke. Go ahead and use it now." But we had already started filming. We had already gotten footage. So that was a bit of a, I had to bite my tongue on that one and take that. But that's part of being a cinematographer, honestly, is like knowing when to fight for things, knowing when to, I know I've heard of people throwing fits and being crazy, and that's not appropriate. You have to make your day, and Alan needed the day to be, we needed to film the pages, and we only have Nathan Fillion for so long, so we gotta do it. But that was, stuff like that happens, and you have to roll with the punches.
Okay. Guys, thanks so much for all the comment. I'm trying to scrap everyone. English and for everyone. Use the question mark below. And this one I want to turn to you, Alex. How important is it for the DOP to communicate with the production design team?
Extremely important. I think, again, something that when you're first starting, or some of the stuff on the internet, emphasizes so much about camera and equipment and gear, and honestly, so much more important to collaborate with the department heads, to collaborate with wardrobe, production design, set deck, prop master. And hey, your small project may not have that many people, maybe one person doing art. That's fine. Collaborate with them. We always talk a lot about, everybody wants to talk about color and everything. And oh, I have this sky panel or this quasar or whatever that has this color. Work with them to create a palette. So you're understanding, you don't get to set and this person has a brown dress on against a brown wall. Maybe you don't want that. Go to the location. Look, it's going to take more time. It's going to take up more of your resources to go and look at photos and research things and get on the phone with them, Zoom or meet in person or whatever it is. But that's where the look comes from. It's not just the lighting, it's not just the lensing, it's not just the color and the LUT and all that stuff. It's what's in the frame. So what they're wearing, what the wall looks like, what props they're interacting with, what drapes are like, all those things is a part of the look. Wes Anderson is a great example. People always talk about the look and the cinematography of Wes Anderson films, but so much of that is the production design and just what's in frame. So I really highly recommend connecting with them early, getting into it, making sure that it's what the director and the script wants, but you can always push it. You guys can collaborate. And honestly, production designers and people in those departments are some of the most artistic people you'll meet. They're very creative and smart, and take advantage. Make your work and their work better. Make the project better. That's the point.
Absolutely. Great reply. I'm loving so much, and also I'm reading people is loving so much this live. So I shared
so much juicy info. Good. Good.
Yeah. There's this is the second part, right? Because iPhone Mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see. Yeah. Sorry, I just looked up. Yeah, yeah. It. So yeah, we're getting into the fight now, which was fun. Julia Swain, who's a really wonderful cinematographer in her own right. You guys should follow her. She was B cam operator. Was coming up with some of the handheld. She works with my fiance Natasha, who she's just a really good cinematographer, and I know she loves handheld, and she's a very good handheld operator. So her and I were together, kind of medium lens, long lens, what's about to come up here, sort of filming in tandem and getting what Alan needed. And a lot of the time the stunt people kind of run these pretty significantly, where it's like, okay, they get hit, they go here, here's the mat. So you have to work within the confines of, this is the distance that they travel. You don't want to get the mat in frame. You got to hide the punch behind where the person's head is. So all of this stuff is a fun steady cam move. That's an Alan shot. He always has these cool camera moves that he does. We're picking off from different sides. And a lot of the time with action, you're getting pieces, unless it's a one shot, thing. It's, a lot of the time we're picking up for the edit, the little pieces that you need to construct it. So the shots are usually pretty quick and pretty short, which is good for the stunt people too, because they're, exhausting.
Okay, I'm picking up again a couple of questions before to jump in the third part of this short movie.
How you do that? What's your vision?
Rich are, I read this in England, is the, not the rehearsal, The shooting, the preview shooting, like
Storyboards or like trying to
yeah, like
prepare?
the something
Okay.
like this.
Right, right, right. Well, I try to prepare as much as possible. I definitely, it's from like a OCD control freak thing of trying to like get it all down as much as possible. I will say as I've gotten older, I've learned to loosen up big time. Actually, in the Lotia that we were talking about before this, was a really good learning lesson because Judy is such an artist that I have to be flexible and move with the flow and work with what's best for her. This is a bit more, Alan is a sort of, again, Hollywood style filmmaker. So things are very planned out, which I love and is really helpful. So I love storyboards. I love getting really specific. Him and I would go to the location and we would use an iPhone app like Artemis and take all the still images, of each, we'd have the AD stand in and understand exactly what shot we're going to do. Then I do my lighting overheads. I tell everybody where everything's going to go. We get to know where things are going to stage, where power's coming from, like all sorts of just specifics so that we can run like clockwork. With that said, you need to be flexible in the day. Like I was saying with the smoke thing, like you just need to be able to move with it. Here's an example coming up right here. Here's the library. This is more the look that I was going for. It's going to show us in a moment here where we have a strong, see there's this beam of light coming in. That's more, what we're looking for there. So it was nice to be able to do it though, and nice to be able to show fans. This is more what Uncharted looks like. This is more that world. So we eventually got to do it, which was nice because this was a room that we could control a bit more.
Really beautiful. This part of this short, the light is really amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
And
Oh, so
and
what's the app name again? The app's name is Artemis. It's an app that shows you the lens size and the aspect ratio. It's not 110% because obviously you're using an iPhone or an Android or whatever, but it's a good representation and it helps to prepare. You can almost make like a live storyboard. I think we call them photo boards, where they're basically almost like storyboards on set. Very helpful. It tells you the lens size, the sensor size, all that stuff. It's a helpful tool that a lot of people use.
okay, there's some question about no Harry Red, please guys, not this time. Every time, gears, gears,
Yeah, yeah,
gears.
yeah. Guys,
You
don't
know,
worry about
and
equipment. Don't worry about cameras.
yeah, let's talking about this. Share
No,
your
it's
opinion, man.
oh, sure, sure, sure. So, if you worry about the camera, is a little scathing, but I'm going to say it because I think people need to be more honest on social media and stuff. You're going to stay a videographer if you do that. People are not hiring you for that stuff. The thing is that the crew that we work with, the people that work these days, are really talented and wonderful technicians. And the thing is, you need to be a storyteller and you need to be a collaborator with the filmmakers that you work with. Not only the director, but also the producer too. You need to help them make the movie on budget, on time, on schedule. So all the cameras are wonderful nowadays. The new Reds are great. The new Aris are great. Sony, everything. Even though I hear the new Blackmagic's wonderful. Like, they're all good tools. You should be able to make good images with them as long as you're doing it, you're using something that's reliable and you're being responsible to the production and you're not using some beta camera to test it out because you want to try something. That's not responsible. But you need to be a storyteller first. So don't worry about it. It's all good stuff. The equipment nowadays is incredible. I came up when film was sort of fading and digital was coming up. I used the bad digital cameras. It was rough, but they're really good nowadays. So don't worry about it. Learn, definitely educate. I'm a technical person, so I love talking about and looking at this stuff. I can nerd about it all day, but if you're starting out, don't sweat it. It doesn't matter. Trust me.
and and be a nice person and take off
Yes.
your ego from set because
Yes. Yes. Yes.
every
Great.
ego people waste the time of everyone.
Right. No, yeah, a friend of mine once said, he said his advice to a bunch of students was don't be an asshole. And
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Just be a good person. and people will want to work with you. Crews, my thing is crews will push themselves. Again, we have to be safe and all those things, but they will work hard for me because I treat them well. That's important. I hear stories of people yelling and being mean, and people don't want to work with them. So don't be mean. Don't be an asshole. Wear a mask. All those
Absolutely.
things. I got to slip that in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
what's the difference
Same.
between the DP and the cinematographer?
Yeah, this is a recurrent question.
Same thing.
I
Same thing. So they're the same exact thing. Director of photography is the more traditional North American terminology that is used, whereas cinematographer is actually a bit older and has been somewhat left behind, at least in the Hollywood system. It depends on, the country and such, but it's the same job. Um,
the
it's just,
sound. How
yeah,
do you like the sound, cinematographer or
right, right, right,
DP?
right.
Because every
Yeah, yeah.
time I
Yeah, and
receive
I
this
know I
kind.
work with a lot of Australians and they say DOP. It's all the same thing. It is a little, I can understand why that'd be confusing if you didn't know that, but it's all the same.
Okay, some suggestion for beginner to do a summary of all the questions I'm reading now. Some suggestion, not only about the equipment, you already said be a good storyteller and everything. If you want to add something about the last part of Uncharted, because we have like 10, less than 10 minutes, which
Yeah, I guess what else is there about? I don't think there's too much more about Uncharted. We posted a bunch about it, but yeah, I think about starting as a young filmmaker. I'm going to say what a lot of people say, which is simply, just shoot as much as possible, which again, I understand is difficult right now. But frankly, if you're stuck in your apartment, trust me, you can come up with something. Um, and also, if you're a cinematographer, actually, and you're starting, something I don't think people talk about enough, but is you should edit. So film your little thing, but also edit it and piece it together. Because a lot of the time on set, we're discussing how this is going to piece together. Something that's interesting is that it's all theoretical at the time that we're filming. It's we have no idea. Well, we have an idea, but we are somewhat guessing to a degree, unless you do like a full-on automatic before or whatever. But really, at the end of the day, you're sitting there and you're discussing transitions that maybe you discussed beforehand, but the actor's done something completely different, or the tone is different because the actor, you see their performance finally, and then you're like, oh, this is not what I expected. So you have to move with that. But if you understand editing and you understand why you're piecing, that's really the storytelling tool of this medium is how it comes together via editing. So I would recommend film as much as possible, and then everything's basically pretty cheap and or free, nowadays. So you can just get an editing software and piece it
and
together. And
time.
yeah, right, 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 right. Yeah.
I'm reading. Editing is so time consuming. The whole journey, guys, is so time consuming.
This whole thing is super time consuming. Totally, totally. I mean, and look, I'll be honest with you, I don't have the patience for editing. It drives me crazy. It's so tedious. But I'm just saying that, when I was filming in high school, well, really middle school, high school, college, and a little outside of college, I was still editing. I don't anymore. Just the reels that I put together. But I really value that education. So yes, it takes time, but
Yeah.
also I think in the middle of a pandemic, you probably have the time. So I think you can find the time right now. Again, depending on what kind of job you have kids or whatever, very difficult. I can appreciate the privilege that I have, but if you do have the time, I recommend doing it. And someone said, what software? You could do Adobe Premiere. It's really buggy. Sorry, Adobe, but yeah, you could do that.
Okay. When did you realize you needed a team? I think the question is for those would love to switch from videographer, one-man band to work in a film crew.
Sure. I think if the project, I mean, look, the project has to have the resources. They have to be able to, take care of the crew, pay them. I still do, even favor projects for free, and I make sure that my crew gets paid, if they're working on it, if they're being fed, all those kinds of things. So, the resources need to be there. Um, but I think for me, I always want people because don't get me wrong, if if it is a videography type situation where the resources are very small, that's fine. You can pull that off. But my work is only better. The project is only better. It's better for the director if I have this crew surrounding me that's doing really great work. I think you also though shouldn't be selfish and just say, I want, I have peers of mine that I think have made mistakes where they've taken too many people and then other departments, production design, wardrobe, whatever, doesn't have enough people. And now you can, okay, so your light looks pretty, but it doesn't, nothing else in the frame works. So I like to think like a producer sometimes where I make sure that the project has a balanced level. You read the script and you make sure that it's appropriate for the material that you're talking with the producer and the director. Because I've had directors say, I want these really fancy, expensive lenses or all this stuff. And I've kind of talked them down a little bit and been like, yeah, but we don't have anybody, we don't have a stunt person or we don't, so we're not going to be safe or, like you have to look at it holistically. Like this is why I say a storyteller or a filmmaker, you have to look at it holistically. It's going to make the project better. So, if the project has the resources, don't be intimidated. Crews are great. You have to be able to manage, you have to be able to lead and communicate. Communication's huge. As you guys can tell, I take a long time to talk, so that's my communication problem. But it's very, very important. And I recommend it. Just try it. Try to get a group of people together, and I think you won't want to go back. I see. I have another. I know we're
Yeah,
running out of
another.
time, so
There
shooting
are
in green screens
really
or staying
many.
live,
I'm
which is
I'm
better,
selecting someone.
right? Shooting on location is obviously better in the sense that you get more magical, new, interesting things that happen. However, I mean, there's no, not to be a broken record here, but there's no one solution. I've done projects where we absolutely should do green screen. I just did an animated film type of thing right before COVID hit, and that was all green screen as it should have been. It was appropriate to do it because they were going to paint everything over the actors afterwards, and it just depends. I like to definitely shoot more in camera, like most people. Like no, everybody knows Christopher Nolan does all that like in camera stuff. It tends to be better. But green screen's just another tool, just like the Mandalorian, LED volume that's, showing up right now. It's just another tool. It's not an end all be all. Nothing
Another kind
is.
of experience to
Yeah,
have in the package of the whole journey.
exactly.
It's
Exactly. Yeah, you break down the script and depending on your resources, you look at what is appropriate for it. And there's no perfect camera, there's no perfect shooting solution. It's all there to make the project better, which is what's so wonderful about the technology nowadays is we have so many ways to do things. We're very, very fortunate. I think that that's really great.
yeah. I would love to know before say thanks to everyone your next goals, project, challenges, personal and work,
Sure.
of course.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so, like most people, there's not much going on right now. I've been very fortunate that I've had some remote shoots and some in-person small, very safe. I felt totally safe and good because I was with a really good director and producer who are very smart. We did some in-person shoots that were very small, but that's been great because, I know some people who still haven't worked since March. In terms of next goals and projects, there's some really exciting feature films that are coming soon that were supposed to happen and are now either later this year or next year. They'll happen when they're supposed to, when things feel safe, when people are doing what they need to do. In terms of personal goals, just getting better, working with new and interesting people, continuing the collaborations I have with the filmmakers that I have worked with. My main thing is I want to make good movies. Like I do car commercials and music videos and everything, but I love watching good movies like most people, right? And so if I can help make really good ones, classics that people love, ones that people recite in a bar or remember where they were when they watched it, that's what I want to help. There's so much negativity in the world and movies only do so much, right? It's just escapism. I totally get it. You're not curing cancer, but I want to help be a part of creating good stories that, maybe people argue afterwards at a bar. They get into a little argument because it's a moral challenge thing, or it gets them to escape for 2 hours and they get out of their head. Um, I think that has value. And so I want to help make those projects. So as long as I get to work on some movies that people really like, I will be happy.
Great, great. I'm reading other question, guys. We have to close this live. We are so close to 60-minute limit of Instagram. Is the gaffer important for DP? We have the live Q&A, 2 episodes with Martin Smith, the gaffer of Michael Bay. You can watch. Link is in bio. You can jump into the YouTube channel. You can find everything. And you can find also this episode there in a couple of days. So I suggest to subscribe and watch this episode because we are not sharing this on IGTV. So guys, really thanks so much for all the good comment. People loved so much what you shared today, Alex. Me personally agree on everything. Loved so much. Understood perfectly everything. Every time for me is a challenge because I'm not speaking everyday English
No,
here. But
you're fine, man. You're fine. It's really I'm really happy to have done this, and it was a long time coming, and I'm really glad that we got to do it, and it's been a lot of fun, and I hope it's just helpful to some people out there, educational, and all those things.
absolutely. I suggest to go and follow Alex and also go on his website because you can find there the whole experience with audio because here we can't add the audio in the live. So you can see the 2 projects we shared today in the Lotia and the Uncharted. And yeah, Alex, really thanks so much. I loved so much the live and everything you shared. So
Thank you.
valuable. Really, really a gem for our live Q&A series. Thanks so
Great.
much, really.
Thank
From me,
you.
Rosella, and the little Eduardo.
Yes, yes, yes. No, thank you. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching, and see you in next days with this live in the YouTube channel. Stay tuned because we are going live in 3 different set, live from set this time. Okay, so stay tuned, guys. Thanks so much to everyone. Again, Alex, and bye bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.